Welcome to Football Podcast with Brandon White
and Robert Thackrey.
Here to discuss a week of football that we barely got to see, and for at least one of us, thank God we didn't see.
Is that you?
That'd be me.
Poor Las Vegas.
God, like, it's already a bad sign. Like, people get shot in Las Vegas. Our quarterback breaks his back, hasn't even made it to Las Vegas yet. What the fuck?
You said our, like, hours in Las Vegas? Or like,
yes.
Because you said our, like, it's now, like...
It's the Raiders quarterback before he even gets to Las Vegas. Derek Carr may have a bone issue.
He's got osteo-ouchies.
He's got osteo something.
Osteo,
like, does he not believe in milk? Does he not drink calcium-fortified orange juice?
This
is proof that prayer doesn't help.
That's a myth. Not prayer. Milk. I don't know what's happening there with the prayers. He
thinks prayer is not a myth, but milk is.
Milk. I mean, it's not proven to do anything. It's
but prayer is.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I'm saying it's hard to.
Also, what's with this weird tie between Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota?
Oh, maybe they're like linked in like some sort of like weird voodoo ritual or something.
Yeah, they're like soul linked. So like, if one of them like gets hurt, the other gets hurt, and they split the damage.
Jury's still out on Mariota. We don't know what's happening with him.
Yeah, they're being really hush-hush about his injury.
I haven't found anything on it, which means that he may go. It's said to be a hamstring issue, but he was held out last game, or held out after he ran in for 2 scores. So I mean, it's interesting for sure. Shit. I mean, what is there to talk about? Like.
No.
Like you said, Derek Carr got banged up.
It was Bizarro week again with a bunch of games going weird ways.
Mainly for me and Damashek. You predicted it mostly correctly, but I got to stop getting cute with my predictions.
No, Browns are going 5-11, bro.
Yeah, something like that.
You're running out of weeks for that to be a thing.
It's not. They got to start fucking winning here soon. Jets beat the Jaguars, which I think surprised everybody.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming.
Bills beat the Falcons, which surprised more people. Panthers beat the Patriots, which surprised all of them.
A couple years.
Rams beat the Cowboys, which surprised the same amount of people that surprised Bills that beat the Falcons. Not a huge surprise, but a pretty big one all the same. 49ers barely lost to the Cardinals, much to my chagrin. And the Chiefs weren't able to put the Redskins away like they should have been able to. So I mean, it wasn't like Bizarro week like last week where it was just like a lot of weird shit happening, but I mean...
Anything can happen. Monster truck rally.
The moment like the Texans were up by like 20 on the Titans, I was like, it's going to be one of those weeks. And the Panthers were holding in with the Patriots, and I was like, God damn it. Patriots defense is just awful at this point. I think we can finally say
32nd ranked in the league.
Yeah, like with enough sampling size, like 4 weeks is right around the time when we start to get a good idea of like where each team kind of is.
The Panthers are a team that have been struggling to put up points.
Yeah, so that means that the Patriots defense is probably worse. And not saying the Panthers offense is great, but the Patriots defense has got to be terrible. But they've got injuries all across the board. Like, if you look at their injury report, and I know Belichick's one to put fucking everybody
because fuck Vegas.
Yeah, on the injury report, but they've got a lot of people on the injury report. So if they start getting some healthy bodies in, they might look a little bit better. But I don't think they've held anybody to less than 30 all year. Like, I think 33 might be the least amount that's been scored on them. The Texans put up 30 at least on them. So did the Panthers. The Chiefs put up 40 on them. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, Tom Brady's having to, like, throw them out of games.
The Chiefs had a down week.
Yeah, still 29.
Like,
which is above league average.
Yeah.
29 points.
I mean, I think at this point we can say we're a quarter of the way through the season. The Chiefs are the best team in the league.
They're okay. They're good.
Who's better?
I mean, via record, I can't make an argument the same way like Michael Jordan's the best basketball player because
if the Vikings had a healthy Sam Bradford back, maybe.
They just got beat by the Lions, though. So I mean, where are you applying football logic here?
If the Houston Tigers are the real deal, then maybe.
Even then, the Texans are weird because like we had one game with Tom Savage. They played on a short week against the Bengals, which they weren't able to do anything. And then if you only take these 2 weeks, that they've had full preparation with Deshaun Watson, they look like a scary team. So it's hard. We got less of a sampling size with Deshaun Watson Texans than we have with every other team, even with a hurricane.
I'm going to continue this narrative that we're basically just watching the Clemson Texans.
I mean, you can continue the narrative. It's a good narrative to try and push down our listeners' fucking throats. Surprisingly enough, there are 5 0-4 teams still out there, and 2 of them are teams that I thought would definitely have a win at this point. So
the Chargers being one of them.
Chargers, Giants, 49ers, Browns. Obviously, 2 of those not surprising at all, but 2 of those very surprising with the Chargers and the Giants still, and both of them lost by 2. So I mean, they were in those games. They're not. These teams aren't as bad as.
If their defense has just had a little more pressure in, the opposing end zone. Could have at least made it to overtime.
Yeah, safeties are a thing. Bills are currently in the sole lead of the division with the Jets and the Patriots tied.
Yeah.
At 2-2. Rams are in the sole lead of the the West. Eagles are in sole lead of the East. We don't know what the hell's happening anymore, guys.
The Broncos are in sole possession of second place in the AFC West, which in itself is surprising because everyone thought they'd be at the bottom this year.
And the Jaguars at 2-2 due to a tiebreak with the Texans are in sole lead of the South at the moment, which I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace. If the Titans can't have, or if they don't have Mariota for any extended period of time, I think they're done. I think it's real.
It's the same thing with the Raiders. Like with Carr being out between 2 and 6 weeks, if he's out 2, then we have a chance. If he's out 6, we're done for the year.
Yeah,
we can't do it. And people are over here saying, "Well, sign Kaepernick. He's better than Manuel," which is probably true. But
Krabs is out, so we don't know if he's going to play.
Yeah, Krabs got a rib injury,
a chest injury, or something like that.
So I mean, like the Raiders went from being like the darling of the AFC this year to may not make the playoffs now.
Something that you noticed when we were watching that Monday night game was that the Chiefs, after Josh Norman left with a fractured rib, went up and down the field on the Redskins, which I'm not a Josh Norman believer, but evidence does suggest that they were able to do that.
Same thing, like I've said it before. Josh Norman left the Panthers, and the Panthers' defense went to hell.
Luckily, they have a bye week, so good thing the Redskins got a bye week. But yeah, I mean, like marking up injuries, like crazy injuries. Yeah, Josh Norman might not even play next week. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. When he left Carolina, their defense became a little more one-dimensional. It was all about their pass rush, and their secondary wasn't as strong. Like you could throw on the Panthers confidently. It's the same as if when you took Earl Thomas out of the Seahawks when he had that injury last year, and suddenly throwing on them became a lot easier because they didn't have that help. Like Cam Chancellor couldn't cover both sides of the field as a safety.
Well, it's because they run a cover. We've done this. They run a cover 3 scheme, and one of them is generally like an in the box or like a roamer.
Right.
So you take your roamer away, and you get somebody who's obviously not as good to fill that job because they've built their defense around the tools that they've had in their players. It's going to be less effective for sure.
And it's a similar and different.
Can't cancel touchdowns if you don't have somebody to help you cancel touchdowns.
Exactly. And, Josh Norman left, and he was shutting down like your top receiver every single time for the Panthers. And obviously that's a similar thing with him with the Redskins, and I think he's been criminally underrated. And the Chiefs were going to lose that game. And then Josh Norman went out, and the second half the Chiefs lit it up. And I think that's proof positive that Josh Norman is as good as advertised. I know you don't like to hear it.
Josh Norman's overrated.
Anyway. So what would happen if the season ended right now?
What would happen?
Yeah, what would happen?
Eagles are the 1 seed. That's what would fucking happen. NFC, Eagles are actually, and granted, this is only halfway through, or a quarter way through the season, so a lot of shifting still going to happen. Eagles are not going to be the 1 seed. Mark my fucking words. But the Eagles would end up as the 1 seed. The Lions would end up as the 2 seed. Rams would end up as the 3 seed. Panthers would end up as the 4 seed. Falcons, the 5 seed. And the Packers as the 6 seed. All in the NFC.
Whoa! What NFL is this?
Yeah, this is not okay. AFC, a little bit easier. A little bit more chalk. Chiefs at 1. Bills at 2. Weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. Steelers at 3, which is exactly where they ended up last year. Jaguars at 4, which will not continue.
I mean, we don't know that for sure. If the Clemson Texans, falter, it could still happen.
Bortles has had one good game this year, and it wasn't even on American fucking soil. So don't even. Broncos at 5, and the Raiders rounding out the pack at 6.
I can promise you right now the Raiders won't be the 6th seed.
Funny enough, the Patriots are currently in the 10 seed right now. They're behind both the Jets, the Texans, and the Ravens in playoff seeding.
Both of all 3 of those teams.
The Seahawks are 11 right now in the NFC, behind the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Saints. Granted, small sample size, but this is interesting for these teams who have been perennial playoff contenders to be that far down, like that deep in the shit.
Just goes to show that things are off to a really weird start this year. Injuries aren't helping, obviously, and we're starting to see young players really take over the league.
So this week starts off bye week hell.
Oh God, this is the worst thing ever.
Bye week hell?
Yes.
Wait till we get to like week 8 or 9. That's
where
when they
like
start putting
6 teams are on bye week.
Yeah. Luckily for the Redskins, we touched on this. Luckily for the Redskins, it's going to give them some time to heal. Kirk Cousins just had a kid, so he's got enough. We'll do that. He's got enough time to spend time with his newborn child, which is always something that's important for everybody. They need to do. Josh Norman's got enough time to actually heal up. Hopefully for them, Falcons coming off a crazy upset against the Bills. I don't know if they should, one of those things where if it's better to go out and play immediately or just let that sit on your brain, Because,
this is one of those things because they've been winning games.
Barely, though.
But barely. They are playing down to their competition. And this is literally the difference of having a stacked roster with good coaching and a stacked roster with not quite so good coaching.
Okay coaching?
Yeah.
I think, Dan Quinn and company might be good talent evaluators, but aren't necessarily getting the most out of what they're doing.
Bingo. Because their defense is still playing decent ball without Desmond Trufant, there for a couple weeks with injuries. And linebacker, sack leader, help me out.
Sack leader, Vic Beasley?
Vic Beasley, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say,
Vic
DeMarcus
Beasley
Lawrence
was hurt too, so, yeah. Maybe they could have been less close without those injuries on defense, because that. Even though they've had this high-flying offense last year, their defense really, I still think, is their strength, as you've been calling them Seattle South. That's really been what their priority has been.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vic Beasley and Desmond Trufant, healthy, maybe these games would have been different. Maybe they'd still be undefeated. But the Falcons definitely playing down this year, and there's always that Super Bowl hangover conversation, but I really think it just comes down to a coaching thing, because even the 49ers look competent right now, somehow, barely.
I was going to say, Shanahan's really the only difference between this team this year and this team last year. They're basically built the exact same, so
yeah.
The difference would be Shanahan. Shanahan's over here having the 49ers compete in every game that they've been in. Like I said last year, they competed, or like I said last week, they competed against the Cardinals. They had that game.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald comes out and pulls some late game heroics, which is great. It's good for him, good for the Cardinals, good for Carson Palmer, but they're competing. He's taking a team with way less talent and is able to actually make them go out and play. So, I don't know. Hopefully they fit into that Sarkisian offense, because it's not really working the way it should be.
Right.
And maybe we're just criminally underrating the Bills at this point,
Well, because we were all on the Bills are going to tank, bandwagon this year, and it seemed like it. It seemed like the Jets were tanking, the Bills were tanking, and we were like, they might accidentally win some games. But then, there's always that argument of jobs are on the line. Why would they tank? Coaches don't want to lose their jobs. Players don't want to get cut. So why would they actually tank? And then you get that reflection in the fact that they're coming out here and they're beating teams that you don't expect them to beat.
Yeah, like the Broncos, who are also on bye week 3-1, only loss coming to the Bills.
Yeah. So,
nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so, at the end of the day, you look at this and you're like, okay, these teams really are trying. It's they're trying their best. The San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles are trying their best with all 12 of their fans showing up at the stadium.
Oh man, we're gonna talk about that once we get to them.
Yeah.
Other team that is on bye week, so you got 4 of them. We went Redskins, Falcons, Broncos, Saints at 2-2 after starting off 0-2.
Hanging in there.
Yeah,
hanging in there better than I thought they'd be.
Shut out the Dolphins, who look terrible. Called it. Absolutely called it.
For the record,
Jay Cutler didn't even do a thing on that Wildcat
For
play.
the record, Jay Cutler came out and said Adam Gase told him, don't touch anybody, don't get hit, just don't get involved. And Jay Cutler said that he felt like he executed his role perfectly by just standing there.
Yeah, at least Matty Ice went out there and they were trying to do a Wildcat play, like ran a little motion or something. Jay Cutler came out there and could have been smoking a cigarette for all I gave a shit and could have done the exact same thing.
That would have been 1,000 times better.
So,
Jay Cutler is like my fucking early MVP candidate. Not because he's valuable to his team, but he's valuable to my enjoyment of the NFL.
he's valuable to the memes.
Yeah, it's great.
So, heading into week 4, Brandon is continuing to lengthen his lead on both Damashek and I. Had a good week at 10-6, still positive. Hasn't had a down week just yet. Both Damashek and I were 7-9. That brings the overall ratings for Brandon to 43-20. Me 37-26, and Damashek at 37-26. So now there's a six game difference here, which is no bueno.
I fucking love it.
Damashek, by the way, I don't know what you're doing or what the NFL's doing on your shit, but like your week 4 spoiler alert article was not listed under your name. So I don't know if you did it or if somebody else like did it and didn't tag you in it or didn't like write it under your like shit, but like, come on, man.
We really need to at Dave Damashek and like let him know that we're actually coming at him on this podcast.
I mean, I'm not coming at him. There's like no.
I mean, we're competing. We're competing.
There's no real disrespect.
No, it's not disrespect. This is gamesmanship. This is mano a mano, man. We're over here.
You're happy because you got a 6-game lead on Damashek.
I had a 6-game lead on him going into like week 17 last year, and he beat me.
Well, I'm getting a little cute, and
yeah, you need to knock that shit off.
Anyway. Basically, what we're saying is that at our worst, we're just as good as somebody who gets paid by the NFL to, like, analyze football and shit. So, that's cool. But yeah, going into week 5, not as many games. Still got 14 games on the docket, so it'll be interesting. Thursday, October 5th, 8:25 p.m., Patriots at Buccaneers. What are your thoughts? This is a game that I actually, when I was doing my preseason encounter, I gave this one to the Buccaneers. I was like, this is going to be like a weird upset. But considering the Patriots have already, like, quote-unquote, been upset multiple times, this is one of those ones where I might be getting in my head too much about this. But it comes down to it. I mean, it's not... We do this with players all the time. It's not Tom Brady versus Jameis Winston. But I trust Tom Brady to do less stupid things and throw a game away than Jameis would when it comes down to it. Like, Tom Brady's kept them in games for better or worse just via arm strength at this point.
So
his defense has done nothing for him. Literally nothing.
If I'm not mistaken, the Patriots have the number 1 scoring offense in the league this year and the 32nd scoring defense in the league. The Buccaneers have the 32nd scoring offense in the league and the 3rd scoring defense in the league. So just based on statistics thus far, you would think the Patriots had the advantage. However, the Buccaneers have also played one less game. A factor that we still have to remember going into bye weeks is that they had their bye week 1. So
yeah, that's going to come back and fuck them.
It's a statistical anomaly, and it's going to bite them in the ass later in the season, especially with injuries and whatnot. But we're definitely in a situation where these teams are almost perfectly matched up for an absolute disaster.
Which, I mean, Thursday Night Football, that's a disaster.
It's going to be an awful game. Now, they're playing at Tampa, so you at least lose the Gillette Stadium advantage the Patriots get by default. And this game could be very close, and the Buccaneers...
Is it a state? Or because they've lost 2 games in Gillette this year already.
I mean, historically, they've had an advantage at home. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Patriots this year, unless Bill Belichick's just fucking with everybody. But all things considered, I mean, one of these teams is above 500, and it's not the Patriots, so you want to go with the Buccaneers by default. However, I don't know that the Buccaneers have had the strength of competition to deserve being the 3rd-ranked scoring defense. They haven't played the number 1 scoring offense in the league. That's how you gravitate towards the mean. So, this is a tough one, and I mean, it could go either way, but
Tampa's +6.
So the Patriots are favored to win this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense. You know, Vegas probably thinks the same way I do on this, and that the Patriots are probably going to regulate the stats for the Buccaneers, and then the Buccaneers will be 2-2 and probably have like a 12th ranked scoring defense or something like that after this week.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, it's with the Bucs being not favored at home, where they generally give about 3 points to the home team. Even with the Patriots basically having to win games on last minute hopes and wishes, I still am going to pick the Patriots just because they are who they are. The Buccaneers are a team that I'm high on. They're a team that I gave this win to earlier, but the Buccaneers are going about how I thought they would go. Generally, I thought they'd be slightly better on offense, but they're winning about as much as I thought they would. The Patriots are the real question. I don't think this is a game that they go ahead and lose. Granted, I didn't think they were going to lose to the Panthers or the Chiefs either. So, turns out we really don't know much about Dick. I'm going to roll with the Patriots. I trust Tom Brady still. They've got about 13 starters not starting on defense right now. So it's going to be interesting, at least. If the Buccaneers can't put up many points on the Patriots, then I think there's some real issues down in Tampa, the same way that we were talking about the Panthers.
Yeah.
So this might turn into a shootout like every other game that the Patriots have been in. So we'll see. Sunday, October 8th, starting off the 1 o'clock games. I'm going to call this Tank Bowl Light. What do you want to call this?
I call this Trap Game City.
Trap Game City?
Yeah, it's like New Jack City, except it's like New Trap City. Because I don't think there's a right answer here. The Jets have been fucking with us. The Jets are trying to throw everything off right now. This is a game that, by all intents and for all intents and purposes, the Jets are going to win this game, right?
Cleveland +1.
So I mean, the Jets are favored by a point, but the Jets have also gone out and gotten 2 upsets in a row, basically.
Was it an upset that they beat the Jaguars? I mean, the line probably said so, but that doesn't...
Jaguars had, the number 1 defense in the league, so, I mean...
Stats up until a certain point don't really matter. You need to have time to let, a decent bevy of games that
right, but look at their competition. Every team they had played was better than the Jets. So, I mean, the Jets just roll out there and they have this magic game plan called, let's retard our way to a win again.
You see Bilal Powell, that's basically what you call that run, is where he ran, didn't get hit, slid for about 5 yards, stood back up, kept on running, and the Jaguars players all looked at him. There's 4 of them around, and they all looked at him and were like, "You're down, man." And he's like, whistle didn't blow. And they gave him the touchdown.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where,
that was...
We saw that a couple times. We've seen teams get screwed on things like that. I'm not going to bring up the Lions-Vikings or the Lions-Vikings.
No, that was a legit play. I'm just saying, that kind of underscores the kind of game that they had in...
Jags just went out there and...
in New York.
Did a thing. It wasn't the right thing. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be like your last hurrah of picking the Browns. You're going to pick them on this one because you can't go 5-11 without at least a win here and there. But I'm just going to go ahead and play it safe here. I'm going to pick the Jets because they're on this streak, and they've beaten teams twice now that are better than the Browns. So I think the Jets are going to win this one.
What was that stat that you gave about the Browns earlier? Is that they're, first in the league in actual, blitz packages and blitzing?
They're number 1 in blitzing and the last in the league in pressure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that should be, impossible, right?
You play me in Madden. I blitz a lot. And they're doing worse than me.
That should be impossible. Deshaun Kaiser's came out there and he hasn't looked great. I mean, your preseason stats.
We all knew that was a reach.
Gave you the
Deshaun Kaiser wasn't going to be the guy. I don't know what the hell Hugh Jackson was thinking.
I've said this every time, but this is a game the Browns can win. They went out and got blown out by the Bengals because I guess the Bengals are going to do a thing this time. This is a game that I gave the Browns in my preseason pick'em, but I'm gonna roll with the Jets.
I think the upset of the week is that you picked the Jets.
No, Fuck it. I'm going to pick the Browns, God damn it.
I tricked you into getting a worse record.
No. It's one of those things where, like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of McCown. I feel like McCown's like Fitzpatrick light, where it's like, he can't do as well as Fitzpatrick, but he's definitely going to let you down just as often. He's came out and played pretty well these last 2 games. Both of these teams, despite one being at 500, the other one being at 0-4, I think they're fairly matched. I think they're evenly matched. Myles Garrett hasn't played at all. He should come back, hopefully. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have. I'm not counting on him being like Joey Bosa-esque and coming out and just having 12 sacks in like 12 games. So that's crazy. But I mean, if both of these teams are as bad as we think they are, this should be closer than it should be. I think the Browns got to come out and win this game. They just have to. They just have to. For me and for them.
1 o'clock game. This going into the season, I don't know if this would be a shock or what you'd call it. Panthers 3-1 at Lions 3-1. My dick doesn't know what to do about this game.
What's it going to do? What's it leaning towards?
It's leaning
because
towards...
I would have been surprised about the Panthers. I don't think the Panthers are this good. I still think they're pretenders.
I mean,
beat the Patriots, who happen to have a terrible defense, and Tom Brady couldn't throw them out of that one. You're gonna get some games.
You know how I feel about the Lions. I remain...
The Lions may be legit. They've beaten enough teams that they may be legit.
The Lions are in sole possession of their division right now. I mean, they're not a bad team. Their defense is surprising people, not named me, and their offense is surprising people, also not named me. They got royally screwed a week ago out of like a fourth quarter comeback that was theirs. They won the game, and then the league was like, nah, bro.
Yeah, they're like an eyeball, and not saying like an actual eyeball, but like a kind of a thing away from being 4-0.
Like, it was overturned by a ref that was like, you know what, never mind. Like, it was the biggest bullshit ever. And then the run-up, like, I don't want to get in it. The point is, the Lions should be undefeated right now. And having, for about the span of 3 minutes, beaten the NFC champion team last year. So, I mean, the Panthers, while I still don't understand how they're 3-1. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the 3 is bigger than the 1. But I know that the things that they've done don't really equal 3-1. Like, most teams, like, they've scored, they're 3-1 scoring less points than some teams have scored in an entire game. So, that's the reality of it. It's a 3-1 team, but only a little bit. So, I mean, there's no way the Lions aren't going to go out there and just shred the Panthers. They're playing at home in Detroit. The Panthers are pretenders at 3-1 right now, as much as it hurts me to say that. The Lions are definitely going to win this game.
I don't know. I mean, Devin Funchess went off. He had 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Stewart looks halfway decent. They had a lot. They actually ran Cam away.
Jonathan Stewart finally passed D'Angelo Williams for rushing leader for the Panthers.
Yeah, they had Cam running a lot more. But I just don't know if it's because the defense for the Patriots is porous. It's kind of hard to see because they weren't able to do anything against the Bills, and they come out and put 33 to be exact, on the Patriots, who end up we're probably going to have a bottom third defense at least. I'm also going to roll with the Lions just because the Lions look better in those like powder tealish uniforms that like 3 teams have than the Panthers do. I know it's not a good reason. It's the only reason I got at this point. Because I really don't know what to do with the Lions. I don't. I know the Panthers aren't as good as their record seems to say. It'd be pretty scary to live in a world in which the Lions are better than 3-1 4 games into the season. So, yeah, I think they roll this game. I think they lengthen their lead on the North. They go to 4-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Next game up on the docket, Tank Bowl 2.0, 3.0. Which one is this one?
This is Tank Bowl Junior Senior.
49ers.
We're gonna get to Papa Tank Bowl, to the Daddy Tank Bowl.
I can't wait. You've got the 49ers, who are barely 0-4. Like we were saying last week before we recorded, I was like, I don't know who to pick between the Cardinals and the 49ers because this could end in a tie. And then they went into overtime, and it went to like way longer than it needed to, and then the Cardinals barely won that game. So the 49ers were so close to having half a win. And then you've got the
At least one less loss.
Yeah. And then you got the Colts at 1-3, who, dare we say,
basically picked on the stupid kid in the Browns.
Yeah.
Like, they barely beat the stupid kid.
like, are the Colts the worst run organization in the league now? Like, can we say that now? I mean, they have a win. Good for them, but
I don't know. The Browns still exist.
Andrew Luck is still not playing. We still have no concrete information on when he's coming back.
He's been ruled out for Sunday for sure. He did practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, but I mean, it could take 2-3 weeks for him to, like, get back into proper abilities with his shoulders. So, I mean, what do you end up with a situation where the Colts end up being, like, 1-5, 1-6, and then Andrew Luck comes back? Like, he has to go undefeated for them to have a chance at the playoffs. So, I mean, this is a team who's supposedly got the generational talent of Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, and they're just ruining him. They're David Carring him. Don't even get me started on the name Carr right now. But I'm not even convinced the Colts can win this game. Like, they are technically better, I guess, but for some reason, something in me says Hoyer the Destroyer, with his history of playing against the Colts, is actually going to go out there with the 49ers and put one up on the Colts. I think that the 49ers get their first win against Colts.
We're both... Well, I'm picking the Browns to win their first game, and I'm also picking the 49ers to win their first game. I've been throwing Hail Marys out here for a while, guys. Yeah, I do think the 49ers are better. Like, I don't think it's like a definitive thing. Like, once it gets down to like the edge of the bottom 5 teams, like, it's really, you're splitting fucking hairs here. But yeah, I mean, Brian Hoyer against the Rams ended up putting up quite a game. They've been in every game that they've played. The Colts, on the other hand, have gotten blown out at least twice. They barely beat the Browns, and it's just not looking good for that organization. Like, Jacoby Brissett, despite going out there and playing pretty well for having no line, no real help, is going to go out there and basically get stuck back on the bench once Andrew Luck comes back, and probably was going to perform worse than he would, given the fact that Andrew Luck is not a runner and is probably going to get destroyed if he ever comes back. That's a big if. Like, we don't know we don't know when, if, how that's even going to happen.
He could have been in Las Vegas this week for all we know.
Like, I'm rolling with the 49ers just because I have more. I don't know. I really didn't think we'd get this many bad teams matching up against each other this early, but I mean, it's happening. So 49ers are going to win. Colts, I'm sorry you got rid of Jim Irsay. It wasn't soon enough. You guys are gonna have to live with your fucking decisions.
Right.
Titans and Dolphins. We have no idea what's happening with Mariota at this point. Like, they're keeping pretty close on it. I think they are hoping that he's going to be able to go. He's probably going to end up being one of those game time decisions. They'll keep until Friday at least as far as a decision on him.
Yeah.
In the very least, like, at the earliest is when we're going to know on Friday if he won't play. And if he can't go out and play, I don't know what happens. I mean, they signed Brandon Weeden, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Year.
And Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job.
Yeah,
Brandon Weeden's like 58.
I was gonna say he's like 72. He's an old guy.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't tell me that there aren't better quarterbacks out there than Brandon Weeden. You can't tell me that. He was like number 3 on the depth chart in Dallas. I think he might have been 4th. Point is, Brandon Weeden is hot garbage, and I wanted him to be good coming out because he got drafted at the age of 28, and his name was Brandon, and I was also like 28 at the time, and I was like,
if he can do it, I can.
Yeah, I see them mountains over there.
Throw over them mountains, Uncle Rico.
I can throw over the mountains. That's basically what Brandon Weeden is. Brandon Weeden is Uncle Rico. They just went out and signed Uncle Rico. So I don't know what to say about this game. But I mean, we saw the Titans play in person this year. They're not a bad team. They're playing below their level, and they would have probably had the win last week. Well, I won't say probably. That was a bit of a blowout. But if Mariota had been in there the whole time, maybe they would have had a puncher's chance. I don't know. Maybe the Titans aren't as good as we think they are. and they only looked good against the Raiders because the Raiders aren't as good as we think they are. The Dolphins could win this just by virtue of Jay Cutler just standing there doing nothing.
Wouldn't that be a game?
If Jay Cutler just, they snap the ball directly to Jay Ajayi, just the whole game, and Cutler just stands there doing nothing, and they win the game. Cutler has a 158.3 passer rating because he didn't fuck up at all.
Yeah, somehow they go out and run some modified Wildcat with Jay Ajayi and nobody else, and it's just some craziness that takes the league by storm. They still go 9-7.
So this is unfair. We don't know what's going on with Mariota, so we can't make a fair prediction. If Mariota were definitely playing, I would pick the Titans. But we don't know that he is.
There's no line for that game yet, obviously, because of the injury.
And I'm guessing Mariota's going to be out a week or two. So
it's a safe bet.
Safe bet. I am putting my money on the Dolphins winning this game. Because if they're trotting out Matt Castle, who looked terrible in relief of Mariota, or Brandon Whedon, there's no way in hell. The Texans just put the ultimate beatdown on, one of the highest scoring games by a team ever on the Titans. So what does that mean when you got the Dolphins who have a better offense but a worse defense than the Texans? It's a competitive game at that point.
With Deshaun Watson, I don't know if you can even say that the Dolphins got blanked. We're barely able to beat the Chargers, and weren't able to put up any points against the Jets until the very end of the game. So I don't know. The Dolphins may be offensively inept. You don't really know what's going to happen here. The Titans may come out and just have a bone to pick. They got beat down massively. At the same time, if you can't move the ball because Matt Castle's in, you can't really do anything. You can hand off to Marco Murray 50 times and not get anywhere. That's just the way the game works.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna roll with the Dolphins. I don't really feel confident about it. There's not really a lot of confidence behind this pick. I
feel like you're just chasing me to get away from Dave Damashek. I'm going to take this pick because Damashek will probably pick the Titans.
That's possible. Anyway, Bills and Bengals. This is an interesting thing because I thought the Bills were going to be through.
Is this the daddy game?
Nope, this is not the daddy game.
I see the daddy game. Okay.
Bills at Bengals. This is a game I thought where the Bengals were definitely going to be 3-1, and I thought the Bills were probably going to be 1-3. But how the tables have turned, Bills and Bengals. How they are not how we looked at them in the beginning.
What's the line set up for this game?
The line is at, stalling for time, -3 Bengals.
They're actually favoring the Bengals. -3 is so for those of you not familiar with sports betting, -3 is the 3-point advantage at home is the standard. So if this were at a neutral field, the Bills at Bengals would actually be a dead even line. It would be 0. Neither team is actually favored. The Bengals only get that -3 because they're at home, which is very interesting. Because the Bills have been playing at a much higher level than the Bengals, and the Bengals have been playing a game that looks like football. So after what I saw this past week, this maybe it's a trap game. Andy Dalton has been playing better since they fired their offensive coordinator, but the Bills actually look like a team. And you think about that Bengals defense. Now, Vontaze Burfict is back, by the way. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah.
Vontaze Burfict is back. This would be one of those things where maybe Vontaze Burfict is just that important to their defense. I mean, he anchors that defense. He probably calls defensive adjustments. So
linebackers are always going to be the ones that are doing that, so yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is one of those things where, the Bengals really could win this game. I mean, this is...
Bills were able to shut down the Broncos and the Falcons.
I guess this is my upset for the week, looking at things. I'm gonna take the Bengals on this one.
All right, this is fun, because I'm going to roll with the Bills and hopefully gain some ground. I haven't been a Bills believer. This is going to be the game where I'm going to be like, oh yeah, Bills are totally going to win, man. And they're going to fucking lay an egg.
Bengals just shut them out.
This should be an easy one. They were able to hang in there with Aaron Rodgers with half an offensive line, barely. They put up 30 on the Browns, which is whoop-de-doo. High school team down the road could probably do that at this point. Every other game they've been in has been non-competitive. They weren't able to do anything against the Texans in Deshaun Watson's first game, where he had like 1 day of actual preparation. On top of that, they looked terrible opening week. It took them in the range of like 12 quarters to actually score a touchdown. So, I mean, when they did it in bunches against the Browns, but it took them a while to actually get there. They had to actually get into the Packers game around, like I said, quarter. I think it was quarter 11 or quarter 12. No, it would have been quarter 9 or quarter 10 to get actually. So I'm gonna roll with the Bills. Shady's the man.
You just reminded me of something.
Their defense is scary.
Let's go back real quick. If the Panthers beat the Lions, I promise next week I will refer to Devin Funchess as Honey Bunches of Funches.
Why?
Because
did you just think of that name? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said bunches, and I was like, Bunches of Funches. I was like, that's not even the right game. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Daddy Bowl.
Daddy Bowl. Here it is. We've been waiting for this moment. Chargers at Giants. Probably
somebody's got to get a win.
All time, I think this might be the most surprising 0-4 versus 0-4 matchup. Like, I can't think in at least recent history of a time two teams were 0-4 where neither team should be 0-4.
Somebody's got to get a win.
So, I mean,
I'm going to keep saying this. Somebody has to win this game.
So, they're playing at the Meadowlands, which means the Chargers may have a better home field advantage than if they played in Los Angeles.
I don't think Chargers fans exist anymore.
I mean, if they're playing in LA, the stadium would be at 100% Giants fans. In the Meadowlands, there's at least a chance that there might be some Chargers fans.
You're probably going to have the same spread.
I mean,
truthfully,
percentage-wise at least, maybe numbers-wise.
I don't know. I don't know if the Giants fans would come out to this game.
I mean, this is a game where the Giants should.
It'd be one of those things where like they're going to come out and they're going to like represent their team. They're not going to be happy about it though.
I feel like they're going to be like, well, you know, the Chargers haven't won a game, so we're finally going to get this one. And I mean, Giants. Let's be real. The Giants fans are the more affluent New York, New Jersey, like they're the more affluent tri-state area football fans. Period.
All right.
They are.
All right.
They are.
All right.
They are. Don't act like I'm wrong.
All right.
Don't act like I'm wrong. The level of poorness goes: Giants not poor, Eagles kind of poor, Jets government cheese. Like that's how it spreads.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
These people are going to show up to the game because they've got the money to blow, and this is a game where they look like they can actually win it. So the Giants fans are actually going to show up for this game. If they lose this game, Giants fans are done for the year. They are not showing up. Given the fact that this is at the Meadowlands, I'm going to go ahead and assume that the Giants are going to win this game because they do.
Do you want to know the spread? Is this going to affect it at all?
Go for it.
3.5, minus 3.5 Giants.
Yeah, Giants are barely favored at home, and I mean they played that close one against the Eagles.
So did the Chargers.
So did the Chargers, but the Eagles beat the Chargers.
Yeah,
and the Giants beat.
And the Eagles beat the Giants.
Eagles beat the Giants
on a 61-yard fucking field goal. That's a fluke if I ever fucking saw one.
So I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think you were 100% convinced, like in the fourth quarter, still that you were going to lose the game. So, if the Chargers beat this game, then cool, go AFC West, I guess. But I mean, there's still just too much talent on the Giants, and the Chargers their morale, I think, is shattered this year. I think that's really what it is. I think their morale is just done. None of them wanted to go to LA. Nobody in LA wanted them there. None of their fans support them anymore. They're going out there and they're playing for the sake of 53 players and a couple dozen organizational, like, administrative people.
They're getting paid, too. I mean,
they're getting paid, but they get paid whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Chargers, I mean, and also consider Phillip Rivers he's coming up on retirement. Maybe you want to go out there and get a quarterback in the draft. So maybe the Chargers are low-key tanking and it didn't see the writing on the wall there. I mean, there's no telling. So,
two quarterbacks from the same draft class, actually, who swapped teams. Funny enough.
Yeah, that's a narrative that we didn't
even touching on. Yeah, both of them swapped teams. Originally, Eli was a Charger. Never played. Did an Elway. Could have done a Kelly, actually. Kind of depends on what you wanted to go with, but definitely pulled a fucking Elway. But yeah, I from a football perspective, because you went pretty like meta with like morale and like psyche and fan base and all that good shit. Olivier Vernon still hobbled. Janoris Jenkins is listed on the injury report. Jason Verrett is out. I would say that the Giants do have one of the worst offensive lines in the league because they do. But with a monstrous front seven that is the Eagles, they weren't able to get any pressures on Eli. They just dumped quick passes all day. That being said, I think that the Chargers secondary is significantly better than the Eagles secondary was when the Giants played them a week ago. So there is that. I'm gonna roll with the Chargers just because it is such a close game at this point. I think they match up just a little bit better. They've got a little bit more talent. Like, as far as wide receiving cores, I think it's a wash. I really do. ODB slightly better than worse that they have, but I think Keenan Allen and company with Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin is better than the rest of what they've got.
This is the kind of endorsement that gets Jason Verrett killed.
They've got no semblance of a running game. The Giants do. Melvin Gordon is slightly injured. He's got some sort of issue with his knee. If he's able to play, I do think that the Chargers will be able to institute the same type of game plan that the Eagles did with them, which is basically just pound the fucking rock.
Right.
They'll pound the rock. They'll play action as long as they can keep the ball in front of them. As far as Eli's like quick throws, because all they were doing is basically throwing 3-yard slants and flats the whole game, and hoping that one of them would break like it did with Sterling Shepard. I do think the Chargers will be able to come out, and they should with a proper game plan, as long as Phillip Rivers doesn't throw the game away. Which, if one of them is going to throw the game away, it's not going to be him. Should come out and win this game.
True, but Phillip Rivers is going to be nervous going into this game because he's got six or seven kids, 7 now, and Ben McAdoo kisses kids on the mouth.
On the mouth.
On the mouth. So, I mean. Phillip Rivers is going to be it's going to be psychological warfare. He's going to be looking at Ben McAdoo across the field. McAdoo's going to be doing the Chip Kelly thing where it's like licking his lips furiously. I mean, there's going to be that element you got to consider too.
Yeah, I'm wrong with the Chargers, despite Ben McAdoo lip licking.
Jaguars and Steelers. I did not think going into the season I'd be excited for this matchup. I am really excited for this matchup.
You're excited?
I'm excited.
I'm glad one of us is excited.
I'm excited for multiple reasons. One reason is because the Jaguars' defense looks legit, and the Steelers' offense is the Steelers' offense. That alone is reason enough to be excited about this. If the Jaguars come out there, and even if they lose the game, but if they hold the Steelers to under like 18 points, I mean, that'll say something, I think. That'll say that the Jaguars' defense is legit. If the Jaguars beat the Steelers, bitch please.
Bitch please.
Like, that's going to be this game. I'm like super stoked about this game. Because I after being on the Gus bus for all those years and saying the Jaguars are on the rise, and then I finally got off the wagon this year, and Jaguars are now over here like, we're going to win some games now. We're going to look like the best defense in the league.
Of the games that have a line currently, the Pittsburgh Steelers have the largest favor. They're favored by 8.5.
Yeah, I think it's a trap.
You think it's a trap?
I think it's a trap.
You going to go with the Jaguars?
I didn't say I was going to go with the Jaguars. I just said I think it's a trap. I mean, it comes down to that thing
where
they're
playing at home. Ben's great at home.
And the Steelers' defense isn't bad, so they'll be able to stop the Jaguars because their run defense is pretty solid.
And they're one-dimensional. The Jaguars are one-dimensional. Blake Bortles has yet to have a good game on American soil.
It's just a matter of if the Jaguars' defense can get pressure on Ben and they can get turnovers. That's going to be what decides this game.
They've got too many weapons. Martavius Bryant has dropped 2 long touchdown bombs. Otherwise, he'd be stuffing the stat sheet at this point. And Antonio Brown is crazy, despite being a diva wide receiver.
And if Amari Cooper had tits, he'd be Amari Cooper. But that doesn't change anything. Yeah, you drop balls, and that defines you as a player. Martavis Bryant has dropped balls. He's probably going to keep dropping balls.
All I'm saying is that the Steelers are on the cusp of being that much better than that they are. They've been putting up points on people.
They have been, and the Jaguars' defense is actually, I think, going to be a test for them. We're going to find out if the Jaguars' defense is legit based on this game.
Jaguars stomped the mud hole on the Ravens. Steelers stomped the mud hole on the Ravens. Like I think it's
I just don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to say that Jaguars can come out there and play like 4 quarters of football against the Steelers.
They're going to have to play 4 quarters of football. I mean, I don't think they're going to call the game early, Brandon.
But what I'm getting is they can't go out there and lose a 2-possession lead and then just like give up in the third quarter. Like they're going to have to go out there. They're going to have to compete like for 4 quarters, and I think that they can do that. I think they can actually take the Steelers down to the wire on this one.
Steelers win this by 2 possessions.
Steelers win this game. Yes, I'm going to pick the Steelers. I'm just saying, if the Jaguars defense holds the Steelers back, that says something.
Steelers win this game. They win this game by 2 possessions at least. Don't even fuck with me on
I'm going to
this.
say by
7 possessions.
It's still 2 possessions, but I think it'll be a 10-point swing.
Cardinals at Eagles.
Go for it.
I don't want to go for it. I don't want this. I don't want this shit. Last time the Cardinals came to town, David Johnson hurt me.
Yeah, well, David Johnson's coming to town on crutches. So.
Yeah, David Johnson's not going to be there. Larry Fitzgerald has put up 2 pretty good games in a row. Eagles secondary is still not where it needs to be at all. Granted, this was not a strong suit coming in. Fletcher Cox, we don't really know what's going on with him. He was a hammy. He got held out during practice today, which is Wednesday. Cardinals have really had no running game, but Carson Palmer is second in the league in passing yards at the moment with like 1,300 or just shy of 1,300. So I mean, he's been slinging it regardless of what's happening.
That's what happens when you have John and Jerron.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got like a 4x100 team out there in terms of speed between those two, Chris Johnson and Andre Ellington. So I mean, they can spread you out and see what's going on. This is not a game like people are going to look at this and let's see what the line is on this if they have one. The Eagles are favored by 6.5, which I think is crazy. I think that's absolutely insane.
I don't think it's crazy. I do think that you're going to beat the Cardinals. Like I didn't look at this and have any doubt in my mind. I was like, the Eagles are going to win this game.
The same way I said the Chargers can definitely beat the Eagles last year is the same, or last week is the same way the Cardinals can beat the.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I mean, all they need is Larry Fitzgerald to come out and have a decent game. And at that point, you're keying on him more than you need to, and that's going to spread the ball out for other people. And I mean, despite the Cardinals having a slightly depleted secondary, I mean, the Eagles don't match up wide receiving core to the Cardinals. They just don't. You know, I mean, it's a wash. I really do. I think these teams are a lot closer than what you think.
I'm not saying that they're not close. I mean, I was the one
6.5.
I was the one that was saying like the Cardinals could still surprise people this year. I think that Carson Palmer's washed up, but they can still do it. And then David Johnson got hurt, and I was like,
no, David Johnson. I think this seals it for the Eagles, but it's one of those things where it's going to be like by a field goal. Like the Eagles, if they're going to win, they're going to win another close game. They're going to need to really rely on LeGarrette Blount. Really rely on Wendell Smallwood and not put Carson Wentz in bad positions because Patrick Peterson is still one of the best corners in the league. And you got the Honey Badger out there roaming around, being angry in the secondary, doing things.
No more misses. Hey, bro. No more misses.
The famous words of Jason Peters to one Jake Elliott before a 61-yard field goal.
Go ahead and put that in for the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Eagles. Not super confident on it, but I think this is a game that they can win at home. They play very well at home. Seahawks at Rams. You're a Rams believer. What? Tell me, speak the word of the new gospel of Jared Goff to me, sir.
What letter is this?
That's an L.
And what is that? What word does that start?
LaMarcus, I don't know. LeGarrette, Lord,
Lock.
Oh, okay.
Lock it in. Lock it in. The Rams are going to win this game.
Oh, jeez.
And the reason I say this is the Seahawks have the worst O-line.
Jeez.
There are soccer teams that have a better offensive line than the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, jeez.
That's how bad their offensive. We've seen multiple weeks where their entire offensive line just collapses.
They put up like 49 on the Colts. Does that matter? Or are you just throwing that game out?
Like no, that's an outlier.
That's evidence that the judge chooses not to.
Yeah, no. This is. And of the games remaining, there's one that should be a more obvious lock, I would think. But this is my lock. Out of all the games this week, this is the lock. Because the front seven of the Rams is going to harass Russell Wilson, and it seems like Russell Wilson's throwing motion has been weird this year. I think it's because he's been under duress too much, and he can't rely on running nearly as much either, and his offensive weapons just aren't reliable. They have a very, very... They don't even have a run game. I mean, they have a run game, but not really. Their defense is still good. We cannot take that away from the Seahawks. They still have a fantastic defense. But the Rams' offense looks... I don't want to say...
Don't do it.
I'm not going to say
Don't do it.
I'm
Don't
not going to say it.
Good, because you shouldn't.
I'm not. But this is the best their offense has looked probably since then.
Since that thing.
Since that thing. The words I'm not going to say. That somethingist something on something from 17 years ago. This is the best their offense has looked since then. And the Seahawks front seven has actually been better this year. They've been good at stopping the run, and they have been harassing quarterbacks.
Cliff Averill may not play.
So basically, this is a game that we could see end like 9-3. But I'm locking it in that the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks.
The Rams seem to historically in this division own the Seahawks. I don't know what it is. They play them hard, and we're going to figure out if whether or not
they never do worse than splitting. It seems.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just a Jeff Fisher holdover. Like, we'll see if that was like something that like they instilled in them, where it was like play. You know, he put them on a pedestal and was like, play them hard, and we'll see what happens. Because the other times, Rams just got blown out. This is in LA. That granted, they have a better attendance than the Chargers, who all have all of 7, 8 fans at this point. I feel kind of bad for them. But yeah, I mean, Jared Goff looks good. Like, they're splitting Todd Gurley out, kind of like a split back.
Yeah,
he's caught a couple balls. I think he has more touchdowns through the air. Receiving than he has on the ground, which is not something I would ever think that Todd Gurley would be doing, because he basically
Sean McVay's out here just making this team real.
No hands. So I mean, Connor Kupp leads the team in targets and receptions, and he's a rookie wide receiver. So I mean, they've got a really young base that they can actually.
Sammy Watkins still looks like Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins looks like he's a guy whose name is Sammy and or Watkins. Like, he's not the best receiver on that team, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Rams win. Like, it's going to be like 17-13 or something like that. Like, they might open it up and end up being like 21-13 just because the Rams will end up getting like a late end score. But if you're able to get any sort of pressure with that front seven that is like left over from what the hell Jeff Fisher was doing, Wade Phillips isn't a bad coordinator, supposedly. He should be able to put some pressure on Russell. He should be able to. There's no reason why. They've got nothing. The Seahawks do. They've got Russell and, basically.
Yeah.
Ravens at Raiders.
Do we have to do this one?
It's on the list, technically. Like, it's there. Like, I don't know what you want to do about it, but like, it's there and stuff, and both teams start with R. So that's cool.
The backbone of the Raiders is broken. The literal and philosophical backbone of the Raiders is broken.
It's dead.
It
is kill.
It is just... Derek Carr is out with a broken back. A broken back. A broken fucking back. They broke his back. The Denver Broncos.
The Denver Bancos.
You know how I feel about Denver. And they broke my quarterback's fucking back.
I will break your back, Derek.
This is now a quarterback who broke 2 bones last year and 1 bone this year.
Gotta shift that car into manual, don't we?
EJ Manuel looked serviceable at best. This is a guy who lost his starting job in Buffalo. The team with the longest playoff drought in the NFL. EJ Manuel wasn't good enough to be the starter there.
He got reached on. He got put out there too early. I feel like he got kind of Deshaun Kaisered or whatever you want. I mean, there's multiple quarterbacks who've been reached and didn't really like. And plus that franchise was basically dysfunctional during that time.
Only upside for us with EJ Manuel is he's familiar with the West Coast offense. He was kind of tailored for that, so that's a good thing. But we lost to the Broncos with Derek Carr playing almost the entire game and then breaking his back. This is a team demoralized.
They seem to be able to move the offense better with Manuel than they were with
That's
Carr.
only because the defense hadn't game planned for Manuel. All the Ravens have to do is go out there and look at like the 7 minutes of film on EJ Manuel from the past 90 years and be like, all right, yeah, he's always been mediocre at best. I'm a diehard Raiders fan. This is in Oakland, but Marshawn Lynch got shut the hell down last week, and EJ Manuel is going to be leading our offense. What do you think the defense is going to key in on? They are going to stuff the run. They're going to make sure that Marshawn Lynch, Jalen Richard, nobody on the ground is going to get anything. Like, we are more likely to get more rushing yards this week out of Cordero Patterson. I would almost lock that in.
Michael Crabtree doesn't go. You guys lose this game.
Crabtree, if he's out, we're definitely fucked. Crabtree in, I think we're still on this side of boned.
It's a toss-up.
It is a toss-up?
It's a toss-up with Crabtree. And granted, you guys had helped me on this one. Not Matt Moxie, but the other dude starting in that playoff game.
Cook.
You had Connor Cook starting in that playoff game, and both Amari and Crabtree weren't able really to
dropping
do
everything in sight.
So,
and don't even get me started on the fact that Amari Cooper has dropped nearly everything. Like, don't choose Amari Cooper to be a pallbearer at your funeral, because he will drop you.
He will drop your dad.
He will drop everything.
He will drop anything.
I heard that he was masturbating the other day. Still can't find his testicles. Dropped them. They're gone. Like, no idea where they went. They, rolled behind the sink or something.
Ravens have been winning on the strength of their defense. For the most part, they haven't really been able to put up much in terms of offensive
Luckily
points.
for them, our defense is terrible.
I was going to say, they should be able to move the ball pretty easily against you guys. Would you say Robert Emerson is rated like...
David Emerson.
David Emerson, I'm sorry. David Emerson is rated
109 out of 110 starting cornerbacks who've had over 75.
148
snaps.
passer rating being allowed?
140 plus.
140 plus.
Yeah.
And Amari Cooper is the lowest rated wide receiver in Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, so, he's the worst wide receiver in the league right now.
Those aren't great stats to be associating with the Raiders at the moment. Yeah, I mean, despite the Ravens basically being what seems to be slightly inept on offense, Brashad Perriman's not rated much better. You don't really have much of a run game. Javorius Allen not looking great. Terrence West is still out. Kenneth Dixon is not doing much of anything. Danny Woodhead is dead to the world. Ravens, if they're able to move the ball on you guys are done. Although, I wouldn't count the Raiders out.
Oh, no. I mean, this could really be one of those things where we come out there and we just... Because we're going to run a different game plan.
On them.
Because there's not going to be any of that gunslinger shit in this game. This is going to be a well-manicured offense. We're going to go out there, lots of play action if we're passing, try to lean on the run, but that Ravens defense is going to be keying in on the run.
It's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game just because the Ravens will be able to keep whatever the Raiders have in check. And the Ravens, despite trying, might not be able to move the ball that well. If the Ravens are able to move the ball within the 20s, I think they're able to kick enough field goals with Justin Tucker to be able to put it out of reach pretty easily. I'm rolling with the Ravens, despite being pretty high on the Raiders. But losing a key piece like Carr this early in the season and not having a great backup to put him back in just doesn't bode well for the Raiders.
I think this is technically an upset, so I'm going to call this my upset of the week, too.
Raiders are favored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my upset of the week. Ravens are going to beat them.
Packers at Cowboys. Packers are favored by 1.5. No, Cowboys are favored by 1.5. Apologies.
Just barely on the home field advantage. The Packers do have some injury concerns. The Cowboys have been playing underwhelmingly. Their defense we knew was going to be a concern. It still is a concern. The Packers are supposed to be they're supposed to be in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, if I remember correctly. They're not going to do that if they lose games.
They're not going to do that if they lose games. Tell me something else.
This is just one of those things where I don't think the Cowboys have the firepower. Now, granted, the Packers' defense isn't the kind of defense that's going to contain Ezekiel Elliott. So, if they get the run game going, Dallas really does have a good chance of winning this game. But if it comes down to a shootout between Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott, I know who I'm picking in spite of the fact that things happened.
Packers won this game last year.
I know.
Packers won this game before last year. when it wasn't a catch, or it was. Packers consistently win this game.
Yeah.
So you're rolling with the...
I'm going with Green Bay on this one.
Okay.
Mainly because, one, fuck the Cowboys. Two, their only hope of winning this game is if they can just run the ball down the Packers' throats. And even if that's the case, they're just going to come back with that Aaron Rodgers bullshit. So
Packers really haven't been able to stop much of anything going forward. Like, if they're able to feed Zeke, which he hasn't looked nearly as monstrous as he did last year, maybe it's due to the fact that their offensive line isn't performing as well. Maybe it's people are keying more in on Zeke. Not really sure. I don't know. Want to pick the Cowboys. I'm leaning more towards the Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence leads the lead in sacks by at least 1.5 sacks with 7.5. Packers are missing a lot of their offensive line. That being said, they were still able to take Aaron Rodgers out in the third quarter against the Bears. So, that being said, I had listed my name against the next to the Cowboys. That I think I'm going to roll with. I think I'm going to roll with the Packers just because you can't really count. Same reason why I'm picking the Patriots. Can't roll out like these
all-time great players.
Yeah, these really good players like Dak and Zeke and their offensive line, their selection of wide receivers may collectively be better than what the Packers may be fielding at the moment. But you can't, like, Aaron Rodgers has that special magic thing that he's going to be able to do, and I think that defense will be able to keep them in check just enough, despite Devontae Adams being a dead person.
Sunday Night Football. This is there's 2 games this week where I'm willing to say we're going to learn a lot about teams in this game. This is one of them. Chiefs at Texans. Chiefs undefeated. Texans 2-2, but also just coming off of putting 57 points up on the Titans. An absolute drubbing, a disrespect of wiping your filthy dick on somebody else's mother's pillow. Like, that is what the Texans did to the Titans, and they didn't even apologize for it. They just left a little card on the pillow that says, "You're welcome."
Oilers.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's,
We were you. Now we are you.
Yeah. Like, that was just insane. This is going to be the ultimate test. We're going to learn a lot here, because you've got this Texans defense who can actually get after Alex Smith. This is, if there is a defense in the league that is going to stop Alex Smith and Kareem
Seems like
Hunt,
the Chiefs have been playing better defenses, arguably, as they've gone on the weeks. Like, Patriots, bottom of the barrel. Chargers, just a little bit better. Eagles, just a little bit better. Redskins, arguably, just a little bit better. Texans, like, just a little bit better. Like, you're really getting to see...
The Chiefs have been doing worse.
They've been going kind of down.
They still look like the team. But I mean, this is the one we're gonna know.
The gap is getting closer. It's not widening with these games.
The Jaguars may, like, statistically have the best defense or some bullshit, but realistically, the Texans have the best defense. In terms of matchup, at least for this game, if they are able to just absolutely slaughter Kareem Hunt like no team has yet. And the
Redskins were able to keep him bottled up for the most part. I mean, he got out and he had over 100 yards from scrimmage, but I mean, considering he was averaging over 200 before that, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a good showing.
All you're doing is say that he's Adrian Peterson. You know what I'm saying? They're like, all right, yeah, usually he does crazy shit, and some team managed to keep him to what a good running back would normally do. So this is going to be interesting because the front seven of the Texans is either going to harass Alex Smith or harass Kareem Hunt. But nobody is going unharassed. Like, it's going to be interesting. And, oh, by the way, Deshaun Watson, can he throw on Marcus Peters? Like, that's going to be intriguing.
Will Fuller's still out there. They still got DeAndre Hopkins. Lamar Miller came out there and still looking good. Deontay Foreman is still backing him up, so he's giving him rest whenever he needs to. I mean, they've got a pretty decent, like, bevy of weapons over there, as long as Deshaun Watson cannot make any mistakes.
Yeah, this is such a compelling game. This is one, like, of the schedule so far, like, the Texans might be the one team that can finally knock out the Chiefs, if only because their defense will bring the Chiefs back down to earth. And then you have a shootout between Alex Smith and Deshaun Watson, which, when you think about it in the big picture, doesn't sound nearly as lopsided as you would imagine, even though Alex Smith has been playing at, like, his best ever this year. But, like, once you make the offense one-dimensional, you know, because that front seven of the Texans, they don't fuck around. If Kareem Hunt fucks them up, good game. the Chiefs may go 16-0 this year. But if this becomes a much more contained offense, and then it comes down to Alex Smith having to throw better than Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, has better weapons overall for passing.
Overall, that team doesn't have Travis Kelce. I think that's the game breaker. I think it's Alex Smith's mobility combined with Kareem Hunt not knowing what he's going to do, Tyreek Hill's game-breaking speed, and Travis Kelce just being an absolute freak of fucking nature. Like, Deshaun Watson maybe have the same kind of skills, but he doesn't have the knowledge. Nor does he have the composure that Alex Smith is going to have in the pocket or out of the pocket, nor the game experience. 5 touchdowns against the Titans is fantastic. We can consider that his coming out party. The league is on notice about Deshaun Watson, but guess what? You're facing one of the best coaches in the league right now, in Andy Reid.
Oh yeah,
Andy Reid has a better winning percentage than Mike Holmgren, Bill Parcells, and Tom Coughlin in his career. Like, these are all Hall of Fame coaches. Andy Reid is going to come out there, and if there's going to be one thing he's going to do, he's going to stop somebody. He's not. And Deshaun Watson's not going to go for 5 total touchdowns on the Chiefs. That's just not going to fucking happen. No,
that won't happen. It's going to be a close game. But you did mention the one thing that is the reason why I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this, other than the fact that they're the best team in football, probably, is the fact that Travis Kelce. You can do a lot of things as a defense, but
can you take away Travis Kelce?
Exactly. It's like a healthy Gronkowski. Can you take him away? Eric Berry took him away, but Gronkowski's not healthy anymore.
They sacrificed Berry to have that happen.
Yeah.
Berry sacrificed his whole season for that one game.
Exactly. Now, can the Texans defense contain Travis Kelce? I don't know that anyone can. Currently, he is the best tight end in the league. A lot of people don't want to say that, but Gronkowski is perma-injured. Greg Olsen is on IR. Who's better? Statistically, Adam Thielen or something, maybe? Who?
Not Adam Thielen. Zach Ertz might be the only one that you could say.
Yeah,
But even then, it's not close. Travis Kelce's doing things with Zach Ertz.
Travis Kelce runs routes like he's not supposed to be a tight end.
Yeah.
He's got great hands. He's aggressive. He's not afraid of anything. And that's going to be the one thing that offsets this game. So, it's going to be a barn burner, I think. I'm so excited. I'm going to watch the shit out of this game, but I'm still picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I gave you all the reasons why. Texans are a good team. They should be able to put it to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are going to win. Vikings at Bears. It sucks how these Sunday night games are always really compelling. And then you get to the Monday night games, and I love watching John Gruden and listening to him, but it's they're going to go. They're really going to go in during the pregame on Mitchell Trubisky because he's starting, and that's going to be the thing. But I do think Trubisky's going to come out there and just look terrible. He's going to look awful.
That's my hype for this game. Though.
Props on you for kind of guessing the Trubisky thing right.
I did. I did for the most part. I was really close. I was almost perfect.
I really don't think they should be putting him out there. I understand, Glennon didn't look good against the Packers and whatnot, but, what do you stand to gain from this? We've done this every week.
This is exactly what you stand to gain. He gains nothing sitting on the bench. Now, the problem you have is the Vikings have a good defense. So if he gets harassed over and over again, if he gets sacked, if he gets shell-shocked, these are all concerns. However,
Everson Griffin is in the top 5 in sacks.
Yeah,
Xavier Rhodes. Every receiver that has gone up against Xavier Rhodes, he's put him down. That road's closed. These roads are closed. Nobody's getting past them. The Bears don't stand it. The Bears don't stand a snow cone's chance in hell at this point. Stephen Diggs and Adam Thielen lead the league in receiving. Dalvin Cook went down with an ACL injury, unfortunately, which makes them slightly less dynamic. But they get
the only play he can do is from the bench.
They still have Latavius Murray and our boy Kevin Vickman, so we'll see.
Kevin Vickman, we need to make those shirts.
Kevin Vickman may get some play time here. Between him and Latavius Murray, they might be able to get some of what they were getting out of Dalvin Cook. Obviously, not the same. But I do think against the Bears, they're not going to miss him. Oh. They're not going to miss him.
We're fluffing this, but, the Vikings win this game.
No, the Vikings come out there, and I think they win this one pretty handily.
No, this isn't my lock, though.
No, this is my lock. I'm locking this one in. Yeah. It's not even close.
Vikings, I'll tell you what, these Vikings, they've had a rough go of it the past couple weeks. Yeah, Sam Bradford, he's week to week. We never know if he's going to play. But Bears going to roll out Mitchell Trubisky. I'll tell you what, they're trying to get that man killed. Vikings defense is going to just shut him down. So, we put up our Twitter poll this week. I was pleased to find out that the Jaguars at Steelers won the poll. So we will be flipping the coin now to find out who is going to be who. I think it's your turn to call.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to flip it. Here we go. And
Tails. Oh, you did it. You caught it. You didn't make a clattering sound. I'm happy.
Tails.
Cool. So, you find out who we're going to be playing. I feel like this one's going to be pretty goddamn obvious.
You're going to get your revenge this week.
But yeah, check us out if you've lasted this long. Check us out on YouTube. We'll be doing the Mad Matchup on there. And we'll see you next week, guys.
All right, thanks.